California's Sonoma, a picturesque region renowned for its world-class wines and stunning natural beauty. But there is even more to Sonoma. Nestled among its undulating hills sits the world-renowned Sonoma Raceway, which hosts the 5th round of the 2024 Ferrari Challenge season. The circuit, with its sweeping curves and vast elevation changes, offers a thrilling spectacle for drivers and fans alike. As the engines echo through the hills, anticipation builds for an electrifying Ferrari Challenge weekend, highlighting the capabilities of these awesome cars and the passion and determination of the drivers behind the wheel.
Welcome back to Sonoma Raceway. It's day 2 of our Ferrari Challenge weekend here in California, and well, the racing on day 1, Justin, exactly as we expected.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a combination of things. Obviously, this time in the season, people really understand their cars. They know how to drive. They know their competition. They know the man or woman they're up against. I'm really excited to see the way the 296 platform's running. I mean, so much faster in lap times, but the racing has improved. And that's not just because the drivers are doing a good job. The track has been resurfaced. Grip level is up all the way around. That has a knock-on effect. You're able to brake later. The electronics are able to deal much more with the transition into the corner with the load because there's no bumps on the way in. That's a massive factor when you're being overtaken, that I just think the whole show is even that much better. I can't wait for today.
No, it's going to be excellent. And of course, it's Justin, myself, and also very much part of the package that you get is Amanda Busick. She's in the pit lane.
Well, thank you to Dave and Justin. I'm so excited to welcome you guys into the action here on pit lane as we get ready for race number 2 in the Coppa Shell class. It is a gorgeous day here at Sonoma Raceway. As we already saw in qualifying, these drivers are settled and ready to get after the track action here around the turns here in Northern California. But when you think about race day and these drivers, this Coppa Shell class is where we see drivers come out of that Corsa Pelota into Club Challenge, into what the action is on track now, and that is one of the drivers that we're going to take a look at today in Helen Chu. She is racing in her first season within Ferrari Challenge. You'll see her husband just on the back of me. He told me he is excited and proud, but she is one of 4 women that we will see racing here at Sonoma today in Coppa Shell. Let's learn more about the driver that drives the 115 number of the Ferrari 296.
My husband and I started buying Ferraris. Our Ferrari of San Diego dealer said, hey, we have these really cool classes, Corsa Pilota, why don't you take them? So I did them, and I thought that they were spectacular. They were very incremental in how they progressed the driver. And then our dealer said, hey, why don't you try Club Challenge? And I said no, because I don't want to race, that sounds really scary. And he said, no, be our guest, come out to COTA. So it didn't feel overwhelming. They were very, very nice. So I said, okay, let's do it. All the members are really encouraging. Everyone's just super nice. And it makes you work hard. You know, you have to decide if this is something you really want. And you can't just talk the talk, you have to actually walk the walk. And the coaches really care, like they train you with passion, which I really, really appreciate. And now it's challenging, but it's a lot of fun. You know, it's like a lifetime of experience that you can relive. It's really awesome memories. I think I just want to have a great time, and it's wonderful to see old friends and make new ones.
Helen, you're doing a great job. Couple of P9s this season. Tell you what, this is round 5 here at Sonoma Raceway. And what a season it's been for 2024 with the Ferrari Challenge here in North America. Absolutely thrilling stuff from the very start of the season at COTA. And, of course, from here at round 5, we go to round 6, middle September, Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Then it's off to Italy for the glittering Finale Mondiale event in mid-October. And that will conclude our 2024 calendar. Right, so Sonoma then, a truly beautiful region of Northern California, that's for sure. And with this wonderful racing circuit in here as well, everything. The scene is set for some spectacular racing this afternoon around this very challenging and demanding circuit, which as Amanda mentioned earlier on, has been repaved and therefore makes for a real difference in terms of how the drivers are able to push, particularly with the new tarmac and, of course, this wonderful 296 Challenge car. Now, the weather conditions today, simply glorious. Track temperature 41 degrees, air temperature 30 degrees. No wind at all, really. 8 kilometers per hour of gusts, that's all there is. And look at that, beautiful backdrop. And alongside me then, delighted to welcome back for day 2, it's Justin Bell. We had a blast yesterday. We're expecting the same today, Justin.
Oh, well, thank you for having me. Yeah, welcome everybody. I mean, it's a glorious day here today. We started off in qualifying with just dry track. The rain on Friday night actually wiped off all the rubber that was on the surface, so it made it a bit slick and treacherous for everyone. Today, no such issues. Everybody's super ready for this race too. I think they've settled down. Yesterday they had fresh getting back to a new track jitters. Everybody was a little anxious at the start of the race on that first lap, but of course they have to be. Track we've seen here, it's very hard to overtake, so people really do need to take advantage, press the advantage on the opening lap if you can. So I'm ready for some fireworks in this race.
We're on board with Lisa Clark then taking us around this raceway. Now, qualifying was very, very interesting earlier on today, and we've got a number of drivers that are perhaps out of position and therefore almost guaranteeing some of those fireworks that Justin mentioned. Steve Czech, Ferrari of Rancho Mirage, we ride on board with right now as he makes his way on his installation lap ahead of the start of the grid formation. It's Rob McWilliams that put it on pole position for the Shell drivers, and in the AM drivers, Roger Monteforte that goes from P1. But all around, the grid is littered with very, very talented drivers. To make it easier for you to identify in which category each driver is racing, across the top of this windscreen you'll see a yellow strip, as we can see here on the Ray Acosta car. That means he's racing in the Shell category. Now, if that strip is black, it means that particular driver that you're looking at will be racing in the Shell AM category. So 2 classes or 2 categories within the same class. Of course, the machinery is all the same. The wonderful 296 Challenge cars, which have proved to be right from the off when we started the season at the Circuit of the Americas, every single driver jumping out of these cars with huge smiles on their faces because they are so rewarding to drive. As John Viscup, we're seeing the best of John Viscup. He's really, really making progress, and he's talking to him earlier on. He was pretty satisfied with his qualifying performance today, going from P4. What can he do from there? Will he be able to garner another podium? It's certainly possible. Now, this is Robert McWilliams then going from pole position. I want to give a big shout out to his son Ethan, who was racing in the, not racing, he was driving in the Club Challenge earlier on, and in the track attack part of that Club Challenge, where there is a podium up for grabs, and Ethan was on the podium. Well done, Ethan.
It's good stuff, isn't it? This car, love the paint job, as I've said, but it actually reminds me, like you could have left it on the streets of downtown LA overnight, and it would come back looking like this. Get some of those street artists involved, yes, and you could have the whole grid painted like that.
I mentioned earlier on, Justin, there are 1 or 2 drivers out of position from qualifying. This is one of them, in my opinion. Eric Marston couldn't seem to hook it all up in qualifying today, as indeed he didn't do yesterday.
Well, some of them, qualifying is a different side of the art, and racing is another. And it doesn't. Not every driver does both at the same time. And some weekends you just have a better race pace than you do qualifying. So I'm sure that's what he's counting on today.
We'll see what Eric can do to move himself up the order. We're looking at the various cars on the grid then, and this, if my memory is correct, is the Chuck Whittle car. As I try and get those liveries into my mind after a whole season that just at last they're beginning to make sense. And sure enough, it is.
Yeah, it is.
Chuck
You're very good.
Whittle in the 166 car for Ferrari of Central Florida. And down there in the hot seat once again, here's Amanda Busick.
Hey, Dave. Yeah, I was actually just talking with Chuck Whittle. You think about all the action that happened on track here yesterday. Race number 2 presents an opportunity for these drivers to get back in their Ferrari and give it another attempt here this weekend to leave with retribution from what may have happened in race number 1. I go to Ray Acosta as well. I was talking to his team, and he was telling me that Ray is ready for today, and it's just back to basics, back to the job, and sometimes that is the best effort that these guys have. You mentioned Eric Marston Marston. He has a nice cushion in that points lead as he gets ready to settle into this race. But as we settle into this race, it's time for the ladies and gentlemen to hear the best words in racing. Drivers, start your Ferrari engines.
And they all obey the command of Amanda Busick, as indeed you would, Justin.
Yes, I actually instinctively felt for my car keys. Such is her command.
Yes.
No, I mean, what an exciting moment. Everybody comes off the back of an excellent lunch in the hospitality. Drivers don't want to have eaten too much. Friends and family can indulge, but you know, you want to go into a physical 30 minutes round here with a relatively light stomach. And as I said it yesterday, you start every race you can just believing you're going to have a great one. Otherwise, you just wouldn't get on the grid. You believe you're going to make up places. Obviously, McWilliams thinks he's going to win it from the pole, but so does Jan Bernier and Ray Acosta. They think they're going to overtake him. So, such is the beauty of our sport. There's a lot of independent thinking and independent strategies down there, and they can all go upside down and go out of the window the minute the race starts. But we have seen that if you don't make your move when you have the opportunity, if someone makes the smallest mistake or you have an advantage on pace, it's very hard to get by here.
You're absolutely right. As the cars are rolling out of the pit lane, then stand by, because we are ready to go racing. As the cars then make their way up the hill, we will bring you the grid in full. The mix of Shell and Shell Am drivers in the Ferrari Challenge North America Race 2 here at the Sonoma Raceway. Stand by then, going from pole position in the Ferrari Challenge Shell class. In the Coppa Shell category, it is Robert McWilliams. What a great job he did. Pole position, just besting Jan Bernier. Alongside him, he goes from P2. Ray Acosta and John Visca both could be danger men from the second row of the grid, P3 and P4. Eric Marston, Chuck Whittle, they'll both want to be doing some overtaking from P5 and P6. Mitchell Green and Bruce Cleveland, they're on the fourth row of the grid. It's P7 and P8. And then to the fifth row of the grid, where we find Lisa Clark and Osvaldo Gallo. They go from P9 and P10, respectively. Mike Luley, then, long-time campaigner in the Ferrari Challenge, goes from P11, and the best of the Coppa Shell Am drivers, Roger Monteforte. Gabe Harib and Jerry Walters going from P13 and 14. Another good quali from Jerry Walters. Steve Czech and Jeffrey Numberg go from P15 and P16. It's Melissa Kozera going from P17 with Brian Waltersdorf alongside. Then to row 10, where we find Neil Langberg and Dana Goodwin. Let's go to our 11th row of this packed grid, where we find David Williams and Paul Lynn. And then going from row 12 and P23, Helen Chu, who we saw earlier on in our program. So 23 cars out there around this really difficult circuit to master. This has all the ingredients for being an epic race in Ferrari Challenge Coppa Shell.
He's not overtaking. Just so you know, everybody, he's being waved by Robert McWilliams there. He was obviously late starting out of his position, so he has to resume his place at the top of the field as he makes his way through. He just wishes overtaking was that easy when the flag goes green, but he's taken his rightful place at the top of the field there. That was a hard-earned qualifying. And everybody right now, my favorite moment of the race, Dave, in so many ways, everything goes quiet, the helmet goes on, all the peripheral noise of friends and families fades into the background. It's just you and your coach and race engineer, and a sense of anticipation. A great 30 minutes ahead.
And that's building. The cars are all behind the Richard Mills safety car. They have to line up side by side in grid formation. As you can see, it's always a rolling start in the Ferrari Challenge. What we'll do, we'll throw two pictures on screen for you so you can see the start from two completely different angles as they make their way up the hill when they've gone through the final sequence of turns. And right in front of the hospitality that Justin mentioned, the cars come around right now and head towards that start-finish line for the start of this Ferrari Challenge Coppa Shell race. Here you can see then as Robert McWilliams gets a very good start. He's up the road already. Jan Bernier tucking into P2, but John Visca has got the better of Ray Acosta, so he moves up into P3. And Ray Acosta then losing out and putting himself into that P4 position. All the cars come through the first turns okay, I think. No touching, no damage. It was a good start insofar as I could see from the angles that we had. And there you can see Robert McWilliams, who will try now to stretch his legs. Now, Eric Marston, of course, will be trying to make moves up the road as quickly as he can. And
there's Lisa Clark having a bit sporty there.
Lisa is having a bit of a go, isn't she?
Yeah,
very early
absolutely.
on. Perhaps taking notice of what you said. You make your moves in the earliest part of the race if you possibly can. So Lisa, who of course won the Coppa Shell Am Championship last year, running in Coppa Shell this year. A very, very feisty racer, if I may say.
Yeah, looks like she's actually being prudent, not taking a crazy risk, just letting him know that she's right there, and she's probably thinking about setting him up for the downhill stretch. But it's interesting when you're behind the wheel. Certain drivers, certain cars come into the speed window much quicker than others, and if you can press advantage, you do. I mean, certainly Robert McWilliams doesn't have it all his own way. They're lining up behind him, showing him where they are in the mirrors. But
Jan Bernier, Ray Acosta was just taking a look then at John Viscup to try and wrestle that P3 position back through turn 11. But let's put the first lap in the book, Ben. And Jan Bernier at the moment being shown a clean pair of heels by Rob McWilliams, who's built up a margin of some 7/10. Here's Ray Acosta then, desperately trying to wrestle back that P3 position, as I mentioned, from John Viscup, who's the car right ahead of him. The two drivers, the Shell drivers that have dropped out of the order a little bit, Osvaldo Gallo and Mike Luley, as the cars continue up the hill then, and that is the Ray Acosta car you can just see the back end of, and one driver has made it out onto the...
Oh, we have a spin. Our leader just spun coming through turn 2.
Now that's another driver off there. Now
that's independent of that same incident. But
right, that is Helen Chu. I thought it was the distinctive yellow livery, but she manages to get it back onto the tarmac again. So how did Robert McWilliams come to just, perhaps pushing a little bit too hard? Would tyres be up to temperature after one lap, Justin?
But yes, they would pretty much, but certainly getting there. Remember, they had 2 installation laps, and it's pretty toasty out there. I wonder what he did. The cars apparently are they're so well balanced. They do have a tendency for a little bit of push understeer in the middle of the corners,
right.
And if you don't balance your steering out, the car can sort of snap on you a little bit. So if you push that understeer, so I wonder if coming up the hill there, that's what he did.
Well, of course, what that's done is elevated Jan Bernier into the race lead. Jan Bernier, who, of course, was victorious yesterday, now finds himself P1 again. John Viscup up into P2, therefore, and Ray Acosta actually finds himself in the position that he started by not having to overtake anybody, because Rob McWilliams, who's now finds himself in P7, he'll be chasing down Bruce Cleveland, but Ray Acosta is still utterly determined to try and find a way past John Viscup. So this is very, very exciting. Jan Bernier is trying to build a margin between himself and the two that are fighting behind over P2. And of course, the more these two trade a little battle here for that P2 position, it's just playing into the hands of Jan Bernier, who's able to escape up the road. For our Shell Am drivers, it's Roger Monteforte from Jerry Walters and Gabe Harib, who are the 1, 2, 3 at the moment. Chuck Whittle there, you can see, who's being chased down by Eric Marston. So Chuck Whittle P4, Eric Marston P5. Eric, as Amanda said at the start of the program, has got a reasonably comfortable cushion in terms of the Drivers' Championship points, but every point he can bank will be to his advantage, and that means overtaking some cars. And Roger Monteforte is already trying to mix it with the Shell driver Lisa Clark. And Roger Monteforte very, very determined, and actually Jerry Walters is not so far behind Roger Monteforte in terms of this Shell Am race.
And I think he'd definitely like to put a car between him and Lisa.
Yes.
It would just, between him and Jerry rather, and I think it would play into his advantage. We saw that strategy work quite well yesterday. But right now the cars are in the window. You need to make your moves. I mean, we're seeing everyone go through our little carousel there right in front of the hospitality, and starting on the next lap. I'm going to be interested though how McWilliams, even though he had that mistake, it was on the second lap or something, so he has a lot of laps to try and make his way back, and he's definitely obviously got the pace this weekend. So let's just see how that unfolds right at the front.
He's about 8/10 down on Bruce Cleveland for P6, so that's where Rob is right now, and he will be chasing Bruce Cleveland for Ferrari of Silicon Valley. It's Jan Bernier leading for Coppa Shell. It's Roger Monteforte leading in the Shell Am race, and we pick up the Shell Am P2 driver Jerry Walters bubbles in that pink and white 296 challenge car. Roger Monteforte, as you quite rightly identified, what he would like to do is just give himself some insulation, if you like, because Jerry Walters being pressured now by Gabe Harib, and Gabe for Ferrari of Atlanta then doing a good job here, currently running P3. Jeff Nunberg is not so far behind either, and Jeff of course tasted victory yesterday and success yesterday. He would like to be repeating that. And I know we were talking about Jeffrey Nunberg during our qualifying program earlier on today. As a driver, he's absolutely, totally focused and committed on his driving in the Ferrari Challenge. He goes at it at 125%. So Gabe Harib is not going to have it all his own way necessarily, as he continues to chase down Jerry Walters. But for the moment, Jerry is able to put a bit of space between herself and Gabe, and she continues to chase down Roger Monteforte, who hasn't got it all his own way.
No, I mean, she is right there putting pressure in his mirrors. Remember, we saw it yesterday. The race will go in phases. Right now, you're in this opening salvo, and then it sort of settles down. You get a little bit of tire degradation, and then people manage their tires differently. If you run close up behind someone, you're going to punish your front tires, especially a bit more, and you know, it could cost you later. Some people are a little bit more content to ride behind someone, not show their hand, and then when they know they're in a better position, make the move later. But when you have someone right up your butt, it does not help. And Jan Bernier there, I mean, he pulled out a bit, but it's pretty stable right now. He is not increasing that gap. So the pressure really is on him to maintain this pace.
So Robert McWilliams then is fighting to regain some positions, currently running in P7, targeting P6. Let's hear from Amanda Busick.
Yeah, for those watching that may not have been watching qualifying earlier, we did drop the little ad into the broadcast that Rob McWilliams is working alongside Conrad Grunwald as a driver coach. He is positioned around that two-turn area as a spotter, and on the headset with Rob, you go back to the lap right after his early miscue in this race. He ran the best lap time around here. Now he's running laps consistent in the top 5 in class. When you think of the conversation between driver and coach, JB, Dave, what do you think Conrad said to Rob to get him settled back down, and then the performance here?
JB, you'll be better qualified to answer than me.
Well, it can sometimes be colourful, sometimes be poetic. What he just said is, listen, you know that you're the fastest. You did the fastest lap time.
He's just said it.
Regain it. He's just said it. So, you know, get your head down. You've got a lot of laps to go. Focus, catch up, be decisive in your overtaking. Don't get on the back of someone and just sit there. That's the worst mistake you can make. If you get there, the guy or girl in front goes, wow, a faster car's coming. Press your advantage, go by.
That's precisely where we're at right now. He's got a train of 3 cars ahead of him. How can Rob McWilliams thread his way like the proverbial thread through needle then through these 3 cars? He's got Bruce Cleveland, Eric Marston, Chuck Whittle. He is the fastest car out there. Make no mistake, he's set the fastest lap, as you could see there that Bruce...
he's trying to set himself up for the downhill here. He was a little... That was a little bit of a wasted effort there. He showed his face. But right coming down into here, let's watch as he breaks down into 11. As he comes down that downhill, will he be able to do some good braking into turn 11?
Well, let's see. Conrad Grunewald then, himself a very, very talented race driver, an all-time good guy as well, I have to say. And Eric Marston just taking a look at Chuck Whittle also, as now Rob took a very, very wider line into that turn. Does that give him better?
Yeah, he's just trying to get
out?
trying to get a better exit, and you know it's very, very hard to overtake here. Just talking with one of the driver coaches, as they said, it's because it has been resurfaced. The grip is up everywhere, so everybody's able to actually run closer lap times. The delta between you and the guy in front on certain corners has sort of gone down. So it's not as easy to overtake as it was last year.
This is Roger Monteforte that we're looking at right now, who's the leader in the Coppa Shell AM class. He's being chased down by Jerry Waters and Gabe Harib. And there's Jerry Waters in the all-pink car then. And Roger has not been able to break away quite sufficiently. And we talked earlier on about him insulating himself by getting past potentially Lisa Clark. Well, that hasn't happened. If anything, Lisa has broken away from him. So Roger has got no advantage at the moment other than what he can deliver out there on track. And currently that is more than adequate, because he's gapping Jerry Waters by about a second, I would suggest. So here's Rob McWilliams. Is he making heavy weather of getting past these cars? Sounds like I'm talking nonsense, because of course he is absolutely determined to get by them, but it's all very well being quicker. To try and find a way by is not so easy, particularly here at Sonoma. And
he's got a very good run coming down into 11 this time. As he, come on, you've got to stick it in there. Nope. These cars are obviously braking right on the edge, right on the threshold of grip, and everybody's doing the same. I mean, tell you what, that's a big testament to this 296 chassis, and the fact that everybody, they're so advanced. The way they brake, apparently the brake pressure is absolutely fantastic. So everybody's able to brake late. Oh, he's definitely giving it a shot.
He is. He's looking. He's going for different exit strategies just to try and give himself a bit of an advantage as they climb uphill. And it's Bruce Cleveland.
Okay, here he goes.
Against. He's not quite close enough to get to the inside.
There he is. He was waiting for a mistake, and it came. That was, I mean, he kept the pressure up. He realized, using a bit of more experience.
Actually, that's Chuck Whittle. So Chuck went wide in turn 7. That allowed Bruce Cleveland through, so forgive me. And Marston did the same, and that's why the order is there. You can see Eric Marston and Bruce Cleveland right now. So that's why the attack from Rob McWilliams was actually on Chuck Whittle and not Bruce Cleveland, as just a couple of laps before would have been the case. So that explains that. Thanks very much to our production team for keeping us up to date with what's happening. I mean, there's so much going on in this race, it's impossible to show you everything. But Eric Marston now stretching his legs away from Bruce Cleveland. Eric Marston up to P4 now. And like yesterday, he'll be targeting a podium. But I'll tell you what, the gap between Ray Acosta and Eric Marston is huge, relatively. And there you can see the vantage point from the hospitality here at Ferrari, and the view that the spectators have and guests, and what a wonderful view it is around that Turn 11 complex. Jan Bernier leading in Ferrari Challenge Coppa Shell, and leading in Coppa Shell AM it is Roger Monteforte. So Jan Bernier, John Vescup and Ray Acosta, the top 3. Roger Monteforte, Jerry Waters, Gabe Harib, the top 3 for our Shell AM drivers. There's Jan Bernier. And Jan has got, that will be the returning Helen Chu car. After Helen Chu went off earlier on. Now Helen is very much a very considered racer, and I suspect won't hold Jan up. Indeed not. Makes way for Jan Bernier, our race leader, to go through, and we'll do the same for John Viscup and Ray Acosta. That's very, very good driving, Justin.
Yeah, and, you know, it's not getting involved in someone else's race. She knows she has no advantage to get herself mixed up in that. And, you know, at this stage of her career, she's just trying to get the laps in and learn. Said she's had a couple of top 10 places, and she just wants to consolidate on that. So,
it's a wonderful shot.
Very nice shot there. Yeah.
Love that.
How dry it's getting here in Northern California.
There is our race leader, Jan Bernier. 2.619 seconds he's got over John Viscup last time we timed them around. There's Ray Acosta running in P3 for the collection. So Ray Acosta then with the colour scheme that pays homage to the Ferrari hypercar. And there's John Viscup then crossing the timing line. Give you a live gap right now. It's 1.457 seconds between P1 and P2 in Coppa Shell. Now for the AM drivers, as you can see, there is Roger Monteforte. The gap between Roger Monteforte and Jerry Waters is nothing like as big as that.
No,
so,
it is not.
Roger has, got his rear view screen full of Jerry Waters at the moment. And Jerry, by the same token, has got a rear view image of one Gabe Harib. So lots going on here. in the top 3 of both of the categories, but by far and away the closest one is this Shell Am race for the podium places at the moment. Where are we? Goodness me, where did the first 15 minutes of this race go, Justin?
That's what they're going to be saying too, because I mean, I imagine for Jerry, you know, she's going to be thinking, I'm keeping the pressure up, I'm right there. I mean, when you're in the car, the guy behind can't suddenly just materialize out of nowhere and just go by you. There are only a couple of places that are possible to overtake. So you, unless you make a mistake, you're pretty confident in them staying behind you, which is how you're allowed to keep focusing on the guy in front. But she knows that with Monteforti in front, one little mistake from him and she could win this race. So there's everything to play for. Look, I mean, she's right there. He actually is getting a little bit sloppy there.
Yeah.
So is he using his mirrors too much? Is he starting to feel the heat? And very much Jerry will be wanting to try and take this win.
So Ray Acosta now beginning to get a bit closer to John Viscup. This is for P2 in the Coppa Shell race. I remind you, the Shell drivers with the yellow strip across the top of the windscreen, the AM drivers with the black strip across the top of the windscreen. And Ray Acosta, look, he sets the fastest lap. Now, that is some 16, 17 minutes into the race.
Yeah.
That really reinforces the durability of the Pirelli tyres.
Yeah, it's great marketing for Pirelli. It's all about sustainability and keeping, you know, performance over a long period of time, and that's what they do with these race tires. But it also shows that Ray has probably been in that third place, not pushing his tires quite as much as the two cars in front, being quite considered about it. And, you know, we've seen him have the pace all weekend. We know that he should and could be someone that takes the top step. So if he's managing his equipment properly, then he might be set to make a move in that last 7-8 minutes. But right now, it is very much Jerry Walters who's making Monteforti's day not quite so pleasant right now.
A big shout out to the lady that's running P6 in the Ferrari Challenge Coppa Shell Am, and that's Melissa Kozira, who has just set the fastest lap. So well done, Melissa. And right, Jerry Walters then continuing to pile the pressure on Roger Monteforti, who doesn't run quite as wide this time. Therefore, Jerry is not able to get quite as close. But nonetheless, Jerry Walters, you can see from the graphics on the left-hand side of your screen, is quicker.
Oh, yes.
But it's all very well being quicker. Finding a way by is more difficult. And undoubtedly, you know, the pressure that she is piling on Roger, he is having to absorb that. He's having to soak that up like a sponge and not fall prey to how easy it would be to lose concentration just for a moment.
But they are gapping the third place car a little bit, which is giving, taking the pressure off her, looking in her mirrors and certainly able to focus on the car in front. But watching that's a very nice exit there as we're watching. Who are we watching right now?
Steve Check
Steve
chasing
Check.
down Jeff Nunberg, I believe. Yeah. And we go back to the front of the pack in Shell Am as Roger Monteforti and Jerry Walters continue to race at an extraordinary pace around this Sonoma Raceway. There's Rob McWilliams, who probably is making heavier weather of getting by the cars quite as quickly as Conrad Grunewald, his driver coach, would like. But next in his target sights is the car of Bruce Cleveland. So Rob McWilliams with Bruce Cleveland and Eric Marston ahead of him. What can he do? What can he find? Where can he pressure a mistake to come?
Well, I think he is ruining his mistake earlier in the race, and he definitely is probably the fastest, one of the fastest guys in his class, and it is just not coming right for him. He cannot go by. He's not able to press an advantage, not able to dive down into turn 11 like I anticipated he would. And now, he had a little overtake there. Defense.
Now he takes a different
side by
line
side.
Now. Are they going to get side by side? Completely different line through that turn 11 as Rob McWilliams now gets something of a slingshot. That gives him better exit speed, but it doesn't give him the track position that he really needed or wanted. Bruce Cleveland doing a good job for defending at the moment, but there is no doubt about it that the pressure that is being piled on right now by Rob McWilliams is significant. This is for P5. Bruce Cleveland currently sitting in that P5 position. And
the trouble is, Dave, he has shown his face every corner of every of the last 8 laps, and if you like, Bruce Cleveland's going, I don't believe you. You're not going to go by. So you've got to pull off a bit of a shocking move. And Jerry, what a move!
She's done it. Got past Roger Monteforte. Kept piling the pressure on. I'm going to replay of it, I am sure. But Jerry has gone through, and look, she has Here is the replay then, as promised. Very, very brave. King of the late breakers.
Oh, and he unsighted himself in the mirror, and she just took advantage. That was a great late break. I tell you what, we've only seen a handful of people pull that move off, and yet it is the move round here. And I think that's it. She's just going to drive away for a little bit. Good for her.
Oh, that was awesome. Well done, Jerry Waters. Roger Monteforte will be furious and is now going to try and fight to get that position back again. And yeah, I was just going to say before we saw the replay, now Jerry has got past, proving that she has probably got the faster car underneath her. She is breaking away a bit from Roger Monteforte. So the all-pink car of Jerry Waters leads the race in Ferrari Challenge Coppa Shell Am, the 171 car. What a great job done and a great overtake. Jerry has had podiums this season. I'm not going to say any more than that. Jan Bernier, John Viscup and Ray Acosta, the 1-2-3 for the Shell drivers. And Rob McWilliams still not been able to find a way past Bruce Cleveland as we speak. The margin between them is just 0.3. Jerry Waters now on the remaining 8.5 minutes of this race will just be focusing like never before on her own race. So Jerry Waters then, a fine overtake, king of the late breakers into turn 11, Amanda Busick.
Well, you're talking about those podiums that Jerry has seen this year. She also was on the pole twice in Watkins Glen, where she really came alive, and you could just see the achievement really starting to hit Jerry. I think, Dave, you can come back to some of those interviews where Jerry was overcome with emotion, but It'll be that move that she made here on track right now, if things continue the way that it will, that she will replay that in her mind of having earned her success here at Sonoma. She comes up as the runner-up in yesterday's race. She was the runner-up in the second race at Watkins Glen. It's one more step on that podium, guys.
You're absolutely right. And the key word you used there, Amanda, and I'm sure JB will agree with me, is earned, because she kept the pressure on, and she had to be so bold and so brave going into turn 11 and taking that inside line. You could see that Roger thought once about turning in and then realised that the gap he wanted to turn into was really rather pinker than he liked it to be.
Yep, and we're seeing, how hard it is to make that move. That's from a little far back. But to pull that off, you set them up the minute you leave the top of the stadium here and make your way through all these fast S's. You really have to set up the move to come into turn 11. Beautifully executed. And that is the move that we're actually been waiting for Williams to pull off, but it has not come. So, right out at the top of the field, Ray Acosta's got the fastest lap of the race so far by a pretty good margin. So we know he's got the pace. And then, of course, we're watching Helen there in that beautiful yellow-orangey Ferrari. Very nice color scheme.
Steve Czech has got past Jeffrey Nunberg to pick up P4 in the Shell Am race. And now Melissa Kazira is really pressuring Jeff Nunberg for P5. So that's something else that's going on. And I can see that from the data that I have fed into me here in the studio. And there, Helen Chu doing a very good job of not getting involved in other people's races as John Viscup goes through. Ray Acosta will be the next one to do the same, and as Justin has mentioned, Ray Acosta setting the fastest lap a little bit earlier on. He's clearly got pace in the car, but hasn't quite been close enough to John Viscup to be able to make it count quite yet. Rob McWilliams has got by Bruce Cleveland, and he's now targeting Eric Marston. So here is Jan Bernier, our race leader, as Neil Langberg makes way for him. So Jan Bernier comes through, he's got a very comfortable margin of 2.8 seconds ahead of John Viscup. It's Jan Bernier, John Viscup, Ray Acosta, the top three in Shell drivers. For the Shell Am drivers, it is Jerry Waters, Roger Monteforte, and Gabe Harib. That's the way they look, the top three in each.
So, with 5 minutes to go, Jan Bernier really just no mistakes. Keep the car under you. Don't get overheated. just don't get involved in any risky maneuvers. No one is coming up fast behind you. He's got almost 3 seconds to the second place of Viscup. So it's all his right now. But that pressure, when you're still relatively early in a racing career, that pressure is still something you've got to manage.
Well, we were talking about Conrad Grunewald, driver coach, of course, to Rob McWilliams. Jan Bernier, coached by Daniel Mancinelli. Daniel will be jumping up and down with glee at what Jan is doing out there at the moment, and rightly so. Roger Monteforte is not given up on this, Justin.
No, I'd say Jerry isn't having quite such an easy ride to the checker as Jan Bernier, but right now, I mean, she knows how to keep him behind, unless he's going to try and pull the same move as she did into 11. But it's pretty easy to block there if you're anticipating that. He did drop a little bit back, but he looks very fast through the right-hander.
Now here is Rob McWilliams on Eric Marston then. This is the fight for P4 in the Coppa Shell race. And Rob has got right on the back of Eric Marston now. And Eric Marston leading the championship, of course, and Rob McWilliams having put the car on pole position from qualifying earlier on, and then a small error cost him a number of places, and he's been fighting back ever since. And you can see him just diving out of a little. He was very, very close to the back end of Eric Marston there. So Eric running P4, Rob McWilliams running P5, and ahead of them Bernier, Viscup and Acosta, that trio in the Shell race. And Jerry Walters for the moment is able to show a clean pair of heels to Roger Monteforte, who now is girl power going to play something into this, because Jerry Walters has got Lisa Clark ahead of her now, and we'll try and find a way past Lisa Clark. Rob McWilliams, is he going to be able to try and take advantage here?
Well, she's letting it looks like, I mean, that's what he's going to be hoping for.
Yes.
But Jerry certainly knows she's going to have to be very...
Rob has gone.
He just spun in all on his own. Oh, keep it off the wall, but you didn't. Ay. That's unfortunate. He should have locked the brakes and carried on going.
That's really unfortunate. Roger just pushed a little bit too hard, didn't he, and lost the back end of the car.
Yeah.
Now,
sometimes, when you spin, it's both feet in, is the old adage. And he didn't do that. He rolled across the road and unfortunately banged the back of his car up. Well, that is definitely going to have an effect on these last few laps. He's peeing out fluid at the back. You do not want that. He looks like my grandfather going for a walk. You don't want to do that. Apologies, everybody. But, that's not what you want to have dribbling around the track. So they're going to have to get the track dry stuff out there. What are you laughing for, Dave? It's for real. Anyway, look at this. It's certainly taken the pressure off Jerry.
Absolutely. It's Jerry now in a very privileged position. Yep. Of course, what that will do, that will move Steve Check up to P3. And it'll be Jerry Walters, Gabe Harib, and Steve Check. So we ride on board right now with Steve Check, now running in that P3 place for Ferrari for Rancho Mirage. He really rather gifted that P3 place on account of Roger Monteforte just losing the back end of the car and making contact with the barriers. Jan Bernier, John Viscup and Ray Acosta, the top three, and the Shell drivers. The Shell Am drivers, Jerry Walters, Gabe Harib and Steve Check. And here indeed is our overall race leader and leader in Shell, Jan Bernier, with 1.5 minutes of the race remaining. Jan has honestly not put a foot wrong.
It's a beautiful race. He should be very, very proud of it.
And that's Rob McWilliams.
Jeez, he's been pushing hard to try and... He'd almost got himself high-sided there on the beach.
He was pushing towards Eric Marston, wasn't he? And
he wanted that position, that's for sure.
Has to slot in behind Bruce Cleveland, so it'll be P7 for Rob McWilliams when he returns, with the car pointing in the right direction as we start the final lap now. Jan Bernier then with a margin of 5.491 seconds. He's just quietly been going about his business and really, really achieving great lap times. Been very, very consistent. The mark of a fine driver, I would suggest.
Yeah, I think he should be very proud of his performance this weekend. And today was just a nice, measured, controlled race. But not based on just being consistent. He actually had pace to pull out and gap Viscup, which is just really fantastic. So as Jerry starts her last lap, and she should be very, very pleased with her performance. The last lap, if you're not under pressure, directly under pressure, you're just trying to think to yourself, no mistakes, get me to the checker.
Just thinking out loud, do you think Rob McWilliams was maybe caught out by the fluid from Roger Monteforte?
Easily could have happened.
Yeah.
He might have also just been trying to make a move knowing he's only got a couple of laps to go.
Fair point.
The great thing about being a racing driver, you can make that story up yourself when you come in the pits.
Now
getting a little sloppy here at the end.
Well, I just think that fluid may have an impact on some of the drivers, you know. And that was Gabe Harib, I believe. Now, Gabe was in P2. Does that mean, has he lost out on places there? Because running P3 and P4, Steve Czech and Melissa Kozira. Here comes Jan Bernier then with the checkered flag to wave for him to take the overall race win. And, of course, the win in Shell. And it should be John Viscup that takes P2. Sure enough, it is John Viscup that takes P2. Ray Acosta takes P3. But this, in Coppa Shell Am, is Jerry Walters, Justin. As Amanda Busick had said, she's had podiums and richly deserved podiums. But a race win would be the proverbial icing on the cake to what has been a phenomenal season for Jerry Walters. She's got turn 11 to do. She's not under pressure from Gabe Harib. We've seen him off, of course, and around goes Jerry Walters and heads towards the checkered flag, and it is going to be a race win in Coppa Shell Am for Jerry Walters. Bubbles does it here at Sonoma, and it is Steve Czech and Melissa Kozira takes another podium. P3 for Melissa. So what a race that turned out being then. Jan Bernier, John Viscup, Ray Acosta, the top three for our Shell drivers. And for our Am drivers, Jerry Walters, Steve Czech and Melissa Kozira. And the applause is deserved.
She really did a great race there. Two of our top girls on the podium. Really a great result. And for Melissa Kozira, I mean, her second race weekend, 2 podiums. Let's go. I mean, what a great start to the racing this afternoon. Jan Bernier should be very happy, I'm sure, when we catch up with him after the race. Yeah, that's it. He's going to be pumping his fist. What a great race weekend. Some stories of what if out there as well. Robbie McWilliams, just not a great race for him. 0 to 0, unfortunately, and he'll be ruining that. Some great results throughout everyone else. I mean, a really fun race. A great way to kick off this afternoon.
Well, you say about Rob McWilliams, he was able to bank a P6 in the end, which, fair play to him, because it's very easy when it's all going south, if you like, for it to continue going south. He was at least able to see something out of it. If I'm trying to be as good as it can be, really, in terms of his result. I mean, P6 is certainly not anything to be ashamed of, but Rob will come again, there's for sure. So Jan Bernier and Jerry Walters then are race winners. Confirmation then, Jan Bernier, John Viscup and Ray Acosta, the top 3 for the Shell drivers. They were followed by Eric Marston, Bruce Cleveland, Rob McWilliams and Lisa Clark. For the Shell Am drivers, Jerry Walters then finishes P1. She was just ahead of Chuck Whittle, but then P2 in Shell Am, Steve Czech, P3 in Shell Am, Melissa Kozira. Then it was Gabe Harib, Mitchell Green, Brian Watersdorf and Jeffrey Nunberg, ahead of Mike Luley, Paul Lynn, David Williams, Dana Goodwin, Neil Langberg, Helen Chu and Roger Monteforte. They were ahead of Osvaldo Gallo, and unfortunately it was a DNS for Ben Gudenzi who didn't start the race. Ferrari Challenge, Coppa Shell, absolutely outstanding race that was. There is Jan Bernier and the team down there ready to congratulate him. Hard work, but he just set about it and did a great job. There, the congratulations all round. And Jan Bernier is about to be pounced upon by Amanda Busick.
I imagine this is a weekend that will highlight his tenure in Ferrari Challenge for a very long time. I'm sure you will look back with this one with fond memories. I know yesterday was a bit emotional in our interview, and sometimes the weekend is just yours. Why was it this one for you?
This car is special. The team gave me the car. I kept it safe. A little sketchy in the water at the end. I thought I was at the water park, but kept it together and just felt really good all weekend. And I knew we had the pace. guys in my class are real close, so got a little fortunate at the start and kept it together. And 2 wins in a row, that's pretty good. I'll take that.
What's one word you would say is your emotion right now?
Oh, yeah, I mean, just like over the top. Yeah, I don't know, ineffable.
Enjoy it, Jan.
All right, William.
Ah, look at that. That was very interesting because I mentioned, and I didn't know whether I was right to do that, whether the fluid would have caught 1 or 2 drivers out.
Yeah, I
But
think
that,
you're right.
That would suggest, Jan saying that it was like a water park out there in some places, that would suggest that maybe it did have something of an impact. So well done to Jan Bernier, and a special well done to Jerry Walters, who has done a fantastic job. There, the fireproof balaclava coming off, the baseball cap going on, and with the Bubbles logo, of course. Well done to Jerry Walters, the Ferrari of Vancouver driver, who's promised so much this season with those podium places, and at last gets the win. Awesome stuff indeed. So there we can see the track in its glory around the turn 11, and also the drag strip to the left-hand side. Right, let's hear from Jerry Walters now. How emotional is this? Well done, Jerry.
Yeah, Dave, I would think if you're ever having a bad day as a racing driver, you're going to go back and look at that highlight of Jerry Walters making the move on the points leader for her very first win in Ferrari Challenge. And we know how proud of a moment it was in Watkins Glen when you picked up those pole positions. The level of pride that you have in yourself right now, where is it?
I'm just so excited. That was a really hard race. I earned that one. It was yeah, that was awesome. That was hard. No yellow flags. It was just straight 30 minutes. It was awesome. That was awesome.
Going back into the race and that move that I hope is a highlight on your reel forever. How did you plan that one out?
I just kept watching him lap after lap, and he kept getting wider and wider, and I was like, all right. And the grip was on the inside. It wasn't out there. So I just knew if I could just get there. So I'm stoked.
Congratulations to Jerry Walters, a winner here in Ferrari Challenge.
And deservedly so. Well done, Jerry. Brilliant stuff. She's absolutely stoked, and really interesting, because really reinforcing what you've been saying is that, you know, you look at where drivers are perhaps a little bit more vulnerable. She'd seen that over a couple of laps previous, and then she was decisive in making that move.
Decisive, the word. And I tell you what, we haven't seen many other drivers stick it to the inside. How observant of it. The grip is on the inside. Anyone else racing this afternoon? The grip is on the inside. Stick your move. Make it. Don't show your face and then back out. If you're alongside, make it happen. And she really did deserve that. And João Barbosa is her driver coach. I raced with him, won some races with him in IMSA. He is a phenomenal driver and definitely the man to have in your corner. There he is, a little bit more white hair than when we were racing, but that is what we're all suffering. But yeah, good for him. As I said before, the coach is as much a part of the win.
You can see Franz Freeman, one of the engineers, just behind there as well. And as Shalimar said, make that move. And that's precisely what she did, and made it work. So well done indeed. Really, really very, very enjoyable Ferrari Challenge Coppa Shell race in both Coppa Shell and Coppa Shell Am. So there, what a lovely backdrop that is. And calm down a bit, Dave and Justin, because that was very, very exciting. Coppa Shell Race 2, done and dusted here at Sonoma. From Amanda, from Justin, and from myself, thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye for now.